Here it is, 4-0. You ready?
Serious, man.
Here we
you
go.
Cannot be serious.
Dustin Martin is possibly the best player that he's ever seen or has been going around. And
Are we on air?
we're on air, so don't give his number out. We're going to ring Tony Jewell. We're going to ring Tony Jewell, who coached Richmond in 1979, 80 and 81. He won the premiership with them in 1980. He played in a grand final in 67, so he is well versed and well credentialed to speak about whether he thinks Dustin Martin is the best player that has ever been.
Oh, come.
Well,
Okay.
hang on.
For Richmond.
Or ever been. And if you don't think he's the best player ever been, what criteria and credentials do you have to win that award? So we're ringing him now. So don't give his...
on, Don.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, Rod. Yeah,
Yeah, and keep your hand away from your mouth. So here we're ringing Tony now. And then we're going to speak about other things, peripheral things to do with sport, but we won't bore Tony with that. We'll just see if we can get his opinion on Dustin Martin and who else might be right up there.
Well, there's other things I'd like to ask him beside those couple of topics.
Okay,
so
Don.
can I bring a few in?
Of course you can,
Thank
Don.
you, John. How are we going there, Rod?
So just while we're waiting for him to come on the line, he's on the line. This is he, Tony Jewell. Now,
Hey, Sam, how are you?
good. Now, we've just said how good you are about how you coached and premierships and playing, and you coached then back to Richmond and then you went to St Kilda. So we've done all that, so don't think we're just cranked you up. But the reason we've got you on the line, Tony, is that after Dustin Martin won his third Norm Smith medal in 3, not successive grand finals, but 3 grand finals in 4 years. Where in the pantheon, I think is the word, in the pantheon of the AFL history would you put that man, seeing as you've played in a whole different era and played with some other great players, Tony, please?
That's a big in the history of the competition.
Well,
he's certainly in Richmond's history. Since my time at Richmond, it was about 63, I think I started.
yes.
And so that encompassed 67, 69, and the 70s premierships, 80, and all these. He'd certainly be in our best side, without question.
What? He'd be the best 18, Tony.
Yeah.
No, that's a very good comment because you are respectful of the predecessors, and one name that came up to me when you mentioned that was a fellow called Michael Green, who played in the ruck, and you would have played against him, who was an excellent ruckman and performed very well in the 60s as a finals player, Tony.
Oh, he certainly did.
So-
And, there's Kevin Bartlett and Billy Barrett. And
Yeah, but Barrett only played well in one game. Michael Green seemed to play very well in every final that he participated.
So Tony?
yes. Yes.
So what I'm just so you've condescended to fit Dustin Martin into the best 18 that have ever played for Richmond. That's pretty charitable of you, Tony.
Well, I can't think of anyone else that has had such an impact on it in so many games. I mean, he had, mind you, it's only since we've become a successful side that Dustin's become the icon he is. I mean,
Well done.
He floundered around for a long time.
Exactly.
And, but I mean, I was also
Sorry, got a little
critical.
Sir Echo here. Sorry about that. Don's just repeating everything you say. Go ahead.
Well, I was critical of Dusty in his early days is because when sides got on top of us, Dusty went missing. He disappeared. You'd have a look at his stats, and he didn't register on the scoreboard. But and I was still sort of half critical of that up until Saturday, when he kicked that goal just prior to half time, when we just needed a goal. And that turned the game back in our favour, I thought. We could have gone in 21 points down or something. But he sort of willed himself in that last 5 minutes and got us back into the game. So he's an interesting character.
He's
I mean,
very
where would you
he's,
place him?
he's very offensive.
Where would you? Sorry.
He's very offensive, isn't he?
Very much. Yeah, very, very. You know, I mean, where do you actually play him? Is he a midfielder? Is he a key forward, a half forward flanker? He's an interesting.
Doesn't matter where you play him.
No, true. But how would you categorise him? What is he?
It's a good player.
I know he's a champion.
But Tony, don't you think that we only recognise these good players because of their offensive nature? They haven't got a defensive side to their game. How many tackles? I didn't see him put out too many tackles.
No, and you've always said that. Lee Matthews, for instance, you said he only had one side of his game. Kevin Bartlett, wasn't known for his tackling or chasing or picking up his opponent.
Gary Ablett, who's just retired.
I'm sure Sam played with lots of blokes. Sam might have been one of those, Donny. He might have been one of those.
Well, he was one of those blokes that floated across half back and took marks. Do you remember those blokes, Tony?
I do. Gary Dempsey and
Sam Newman.
So Sam.
Don couldn't mark a bench ball.
Sam and his stripes at centre half forward on occasion too.
So Tony, could I just get this for the record? Up until the goal that Dustin Martin kicked before half-time in last week's grand final, Saturday's grand final, you've been critical of him right up till then, have you?
Oh no, I haven't. But I've had. Although I have. I've often thought that when sides got on top of us, that because of the offensive way he plays, that the sides got away and he didn't sort of contribute to try and get us back into it. But certainly on Saturday, he showed that he was more than capable of doing that.
So the other two...
I mean, he said himself he's an opportunist, and then when he gets the opportunity, you've got to take it. So I guess if the opportunities don't arise, you can't do much about it. But I mean, that's being super critical. He's just an absolutely super player.
He's very strong. He's very strong, very quick, isn't he? Tony, would you have sent a text off to Damien Hardwick congratulating him on the team's effort?
I did, Don. Yes.
That's very good. Has it been replied to
yes.
or acknowledged?
I haven't looked at my text, so I don't expect him to. Why would he reply?
Well, I mean, it's kind of called politeness.
Well, he mightn't have seen it yet. He might have been swamped with 500 people. You're saying Damien Martin wouldn't acknowledge...
Not Damien Martin.
Oh, Damien Hardwick. Sorry. Damien Hardwick wouldn't acknowledge Tony Jewell.
Well, I certainly would.
An icon of the Richmond Football Club. He wouldn't have got round to it. I'll guarantee that Damien Hardwick will acknowledge that Tony Jewell sent him some congratulations.
How long would you give him for Damien Hardwick? How long would you give Damien Hardwick to reply to Tony's text? No, I'm asking John.
Yeah. When he trawls through the people who have...
How long will it take him to do that?
As soon as he realises that...
Okay, I will check in with Tony in 4 weeks' time and see if he's had a reply from Damien Hardwick.
But what are you putting pressure on Tony for to think that he deserves a reply?
I'm putting pressure on Damien Hardwick.
Well, why are you putting pressure on him? He might ring him up. I congratulated... I sent a text to Dustin Martin and I sent a text to Craig Bellamy. I don't expect to get a reply back because I'll be one of 1,000 people that have sent them. But I just thought I will congratulate both those two men, on their performances on last weekend.
Well done, Sam.
Well, holy shit. John,
I just went to a different school to you that I would acknowledge everyone that has acknowledged an effort. And I've replied...
I will bet you, Tony, I'll bet you, Tony, that when someone hears this and rings up Damien Hardwick and says, they're criticising you for not getting back to Tony Jewell, the great icon of the Richmond Football Club.
Nobody listens to this anyway.
I reckon you will get a reply in about 1 second. Because you'll think, I don't want to be considered...
no, exactly. But you've done well, Sam.
Tony, you're a
But, I
student
mean,
of the game. Could I ask you a football question, please?
Beyond.
How would
Certainly.
you, as an opposition coach, counter Richmond's style of play?
It's interesting, isn't it? I looked in. It was interesting today's best and fairest count, and I can't remember. In the top 10, there was 5 defenders. Number 1 was a defender. Number 2 was a defender, and then there was 3 others, all in the top 10. Now, I can't remember defenders ever voting highly in club best and fairest. So that just I think it sort of tells you, doesn't it, a bit about Richmond, about what their style of game is. I mean, and it was interesting to hear Damien Hardwick say after one of the things they stopped doing, or one of the things they got themselves in trouble with before half-time, was trying to kick the ball out of the back line. And they said straight after half-time that we'll start running the ball out of the back line to get it through that wall of players who were there. And which you did. If you look back on it, we just started running and running and running. It's certainly the best back line that I've seen at Richmond, and I can't remember too many. Carlton used to have a pretty good way back in Jez's time, but I can't remember a side that creates so many goals from their defence.
This side?
This side,
yes.
Yeah.
So Tony, where do you place this side, or the last couple of grand final sides, in relation to the great sides of the 60s and 70s that you were part of directly and indirectly and have watched from afar?
Yeah, well, they're right up there. I mean, it's different eras too, isn't it? I mean, but I've never seen a side that is such a team. I mean, they just don't rely on a Royce Hart. They don't rely. I mean, we used to rely on the champions to win games. This mob, they just play as a total team. All play their part, and don't rely on any one person. I know Dusty is the icing on the cake, but I can't recall a side that is such a complete team. They just work as a unit.
Well, Tony,
they're
by
fabulous,
default,
really.
By default, you're saying they're the best team Richmond have ever had.
No.
Your team, or if you want to, classify a team. I mean, but they're right up there, Sam.
But you haven't answered my question.
There are 4 grand finals in 3 flags and a preliminary final in 3 years. It's got to put them right up there with the best of the Richmond side.
Okay, but you haven't answered my question, Tony. How would you counter this side if you were an opposition coach?
Go the knuckle.
Well, days gone by, that might have been the answer. But I'd certainly be putting a lot more pressure on their defence. That certainly, that talks to itself. 5 of their best players are defenders. So you wouldn't be allowing them to dictate terms like they do. Whether you just had to man them up and play them man to man, or just, I don't know how you do it, but it seems to me that Richmond's just all revolves around that back line. So you'd be putting a lot more pressure on their defence than what's happening at the moment, the opposition.
So many thought, Tony, that when Alex Rance withdrew from the side, that would be the end of the whole shooting match, because he was holding the whole shebang together, and they have not blinked. They miss Alex, of course, but that's just collateral damage.
Well, Wooston, he grew since Rance has left, and then they brought in Noah Bolter, who's finished up in 8th in the best and fairest. He's only a 19-year-old. He replaced Alex Rance. Dylan Grimes.
Who just won the best and fairest?
Short.
Jaden Short, the back pocket player.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You know, how many sides have the best and fairest player as a defender and having 5 other defenders in the top 10 of their best and fairest? It's quite extraordinary. I mean, back when I played, if you were half a psychopath, and that was the
which
you
you
know,
were.
the first recreate. Yeah. And you didn't have to, they just played the mugs down back. But not today. I mean, all the great players at Richmond are all playing down back.
Tony, I thought that Basher Hooley would have been one player you'd have to keep quiet. He seems to set the play up. But they still, he was missing on Saturday night, yet they were still able to overcome his lack of setting up play.
Yeah, well, that's the secret of the team. They just do what they've got to do. They just one's down, another one lifts, and I mean, he still played all right. By the way, he wasn't. There wasn't the player that he's been in other finals. Well, I think he's been runners up in 2 grand finals, but he was still a pretty effective player, Don. But they did play a man on him. You know, they camped on him, and I think the ex-Footscray bloke from who plays for Geelong was playing on him.
Dalhouse.
Yeah, Dalhouse. But that's how I'd play Richmond. I'd just be playing, and the forwards would have to play almost like defenders.
So, Tony, they're obviously warming us up for the night grand final to continue. There's no doubt of that. They're warming us up. Many people, including me, think that this is just a bad move because you shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's a great day on daytime grand finals for the lead up and all that, and all for the spectacle of it. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, the wait was just. I mean, I had 3 mates ring me and just say, I can't stand this. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's another 4 hours to go, and the wait was too long. And then I know friends with young children who the game finished. You know, it was 11 o'clock or something before the kids got to bed. And for instance, if, say, Margaret and I wanted to go up to the grand final from Sorrento,
you'd be fly blown by 6 o'clock. But half the city would be pissed.
Well, they would be, wouldn't they? I mean, it'd be bloody mayhem. I'll be probably having blues everywhere. But you would be. But you wouldn't be home till 2 o'clock.
That's right, and you'd be stabbed to, you stabbed to within an inch of your life on the train going home to wherever you live.
But it'd be a great experience.
We usually get the train at Sandringham and go in, but drive up to there. But you're right, so you'd have to be catching that late flight, then walking to your car, and then trying to drive home. I know, I just got it. It's just no way that it should come in that. Even the twilight. I mean, what's wrong with the 2:30 start? I can't see what it has to be ratings.
Forget that, mate. That's the tail wagging the dog, and this is not a criticism of 7, 9, 10, ABC. Everyone would do it. It is absolutely predicated on maximising the ratings.
Yeah. So
ratings means money to a station.
Well, not only that, to the AFL too. So, I mean, they obviously get more money if it's played at night, and you would assume that'll be part of the deal if the AFL decide to go that way. And the fact that I think they've lost a lot of money this year, they might be looking to fill the coffers up. But it's a people's game, so bugger the TV. And 15-minute quarters. I mean, that's what a joke that is too.
And they had half an hour in half time. They had half an hour, an extra 10 minutes half time. That would have thrown the players' sink out of alignment, wouldn't it?
You would think so, and then they want more interchange players because the game's too long and hard.
All right. Well, now, Don, you just wanted to ask Tony some other questions besides football.
Oh, I was interested, and Tony didn't elaborate. You mentioned Marg. It'd be a great bonding experience for you two going to the football together, Tony.
Well, she's just taken to, I don't know why, after 50 years, she's just taken to watching the football with me. And
Well, that'd be great.
it's fantastic. And one of her great questions was the other night, why do they take their mouth guard out before they have a shot at goals? Now, that was just about broke the...
I think that's
my
a very
patience.
relevant point. Why do they take their mouth guard out, Tony? What did you say?
I had no idea. I grunted, she said. So I don't think I gave an answer, but...
It's a very good question,
no.
Tony. I wish I'd thought of it. There isn't. It's like throwing the grass into the air at the Marvel Stadium when the roof's shut.
the roof shut, yeah.
Now, Tony, we must
yes,
ask you
Sam.
this. We had a very humorous chat to a man called Simon O'Donnell.
Oh, yes.
A couple of weeks. I don't know if you heard it, but he recalled and recounted, had me in stitches, about when you dressed him and the side down against Collingwood when you were coach of St Kilda, and he said you threw a clipboard at someone, you threw something else at someone else, and by the time you got to him, you had no other implements to throw, but you ripped him a new one. And we thought that is about the funniest, humorous story. Was there any truth, any validity in that story?
Yes, it was. And I remember getting to him and I was absolutely exhausted. I'd gone through the whole side. I was throwing everything I could find. And I got
Trevor
there and
Barker.
I was knackered. And I thought, all I could say was, you were supposed to be a schoolboy champion. Now get back there. With that. I
He
can't
said,
remember what I was
go back. Oh, no, I tell
No,
you.
that's all true, unfortunately.
No, not unfortunately. It's fantastic. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people who have no interest in football at all, but just heard that the amount of information we got from people who listened to that was fantastic. So it was worth it.
Tony, did you watch the grand final of the rugby league the other night?
I didn't. I saw the coach at the end. Did
Yes.
you see him kicking chairs?
Kicking
Yeah,
chairs.
well-
Now, how would that go down in the AFL? Him showing his emotional involvement, because you were very emotive yourself. You threw chairs even at South Melbourne there one after game. You threw chairs everywhere and benches. How
especially
would it go
phones,
down
so
in
that-
today's football, a coach being emotively involved?
Oh, gee, yeah. I don't know. You wouldn't be... the sponsors wouldn't like it or something, I guess. I don't know. Who knows in today's footy, but...
You could be sponsored
I
by
suppose
Will and the
it's
Wrecker.
good. But it's actually good TV, isn't it? I mean, it actually just showed what pressure coaches are under. He usually doesn't show any emotion at all. But,
Craig Bellamy?
Yeah.
You'd be joking.
Well, I
I've
don't watch a
never
lot of the soccer, but the rugby at the moment.
Oh,
Does he go off, does he?
absolutely.
Oh, good on him.
He
Good
goes
on him.
off like a firecracker. But he's, as you
Did
say,
that.
Donald, emotionally involved, and he's got passion. That's probably why he's probably the best coach that's been.
Can I ask, did Bobby Davis go off, Sam? Did he?
No, Bobby didn't
Did
go
he
off.
throw tickets?
Bobby did. Bobby worked himself into pretending he went off. He'd say, "Fair dinkum." He said, "It's unbelievable." He said, "I'll name a couple of you shortly," but never did, and never had any intention of naming them. And that's about as angry as he got.
There you go.
No, it's good.
And I don't think you ever got abused either, did you, Don?
Who,
Alan
me?
would have been game. Yeah.
I was
Alan, yeah.
I was John Kennedy's
Scapegoat.
patsy.
Scapegoat.
you were the whipping boy,
He
yeah.
would rip into me. Don't you worry about that. And I thought, well, geez, there's a team of others. Why don't you
Don't
rip
blaspheme.
into them?
Don't blaspheme, please.
Oh, did I?
You said Jesus.
I'm sorry. I apologise.
Oh, well, come on.
No, I was his
Standards.
I was his
We've got
patsy,
standards here,
Tony, and he would rip me.
Well, that's smart, though. It's no use ripping someone who's going to rip back at you. You pick your mark a bit when you...
Well, Tony,
When you-
thanks very much for giving us your opinion. I feel like I should be Michael Sheehan, Mick Sheehan's advocate, who thinks Dustin Martin's the best player that's ever been, ever, in the history of the whole. But you've said he's just come of age when he kicked that goal just 10 seconds
I
before
did say
half-time. So I'll relay that to him, and you might have a chat to him one day about what he
I'm
thinks is a
sure
good
I'll have a phone call in about 10 minutes.
No, it's good. Hey, thank you very much, mate, for joining us.
Pleasure.
And Don?
How's your shoulder, Tony?
See, not bad, Don.
You
Not bad.
You're still in the sling? You're moving it?
Yes, no, I'm still in the sling.
Hello, what's happened?
I was working with Don and
Compo.
right on mower backed me off.
You can go him, Compo, if you got insurance, Don.
I've spoken to the unions about it, and you'll be hearing from them.
Oh,
I
shit,
wouldn't-
you're joking.
Yeah, mate, you've got to have workers' compensation. If there's a man here, imagine
I
if he wanted to play golf.
thought you and Bernie were just a social gathering.
Well, the way he pays us, I think that's what he thinks. But
Take him to the Small
No.
Claims Tribunal for
I might
exploitation
do
of
that.
seniors. You're being dudded, mate. Don, come on, Don. Most unethical man I've ever met. You're exploiting
shocking, isn't it?
seniors because you think they're not capable of going to a tribunal to claim money against you, and you haven't got any insurance or any compensation for him. And here's a man who likes playing golf, a la driving on golf carts, and he can't even play golf.
and had one game, and then fell off the mower and can't play for another 4 weeks. So
I've never seen a man
you been
move.
playing?
You move pretty quickly,
Sorry?
Tony, when you're on the ground in agony when I said that the mower's going to catch on fire.
Or shit, didn't I move then?
Sorry, can I just
I
ask, how do you fall off a
I
mower?
was
Thank you. Yeah, that's right.
How do you fall off a mower, Tony?
well, the mower tipped over and I was on it, and that sort of
What,
I went with
trying to
on a hill.
on a hill, man? What did you think? What did you think it was? A 4-wheel drive off track?
Well, that's what Don said. He said,
Oh, Christ.
"That's
Well,
not
no one else would get
concentrate."
on it and go down the hill. You knew it was stupid enough to get on.
I know. I can't complain. I'm not,
Bernie
I
was
know.
smarter than you, and I wasn't going to go anywhere near it.
It's like Larry, Moe, and Shemp. It's unbelievable. Fair dinkum. All right.
It
Well,
is.
all right, mate. Well, all the best. We'll
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Catch you later.
Good on you.
Radio. See you, Don.
See you, Tony.
Right.
All the best to Margaret.
Yep.
Yeah, Margaret. Yep. Well, that is extraordinary. That he said he'd get Dustin Martin probably get him into his best 18.
But if you consider it, John, you've got to be lucky to play in a grand final. Now, Martin is lucky to be in such a good team.
Played in three.
And played in 3 grand finals.
Best
There's a
on
lot of
ground.
other good players that never, ever get to the grand final or get that opportunity.
Yes, and your point.
So my point is that there are other people that could be just as good but don't get the opportunity. We should consider ourselves lucky that we get there and we're in a good side.
yes.
And the other thing, can I just mention something,
course.
talking, and I listened to Cameron Smith talk and also the officials from Richmond and how they've had to sacrifice this year. In the rugby league, it was 5 months away, and I understand that. In their bubble and the AFL was 3 months away. But let's just consider, I spoke to a friend the other day whose parents are in their 90s. Now, her parents have been in lockdown since March. They're in their 90s, have not
So
been...
have we.
No, hang on. Have not been out of their house for 7 months. Their food is delivered, and because of their age, they are very susceptible. And at that age, 7 months out of your life is a big thing. So I think that these players they're doing
Face it a
something
little.
that they enjoy doing. They're away from home, but hang on, you're doing something you enjoy doing and you're getting paid for. There's a lot of other people, especially the elderly, doing it much harder than what they ever did.
You will have to tell me if this happened, Donald, because I was told this. During the singing of the national anthem, the AFL, there was in the corner of the screen someone doing sign language for the song. Was that right?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the prelude.
All right, I see. I was wondering just on why would you have to have someone signing to the national anthem?
No.
Because you can't. It's not a song thing signing, is it? It's just telling her the words. Would they be waving their hands up when the song went up? Why would you have sign language for the national anthem? when it's being sung.
Could I ask you something?
Yes.
On this side of trivia, what happened to that little bit of grass that went up? Did it get to the Gabba from the MCG?
Very good point, Mark Robinson. Robbie, he said that it was just a exercise in publicity. A Rebel or someone, we're mentioning him.
Rebel had their name in the goal square, so maybe that was the piece. I'm not sure.
No, they said it wasn't on the ground.
It wasn't on the ground.
They said it was on the side of the ground over the boundary line, just for someone to tread on. I don't know.
Okay, and could I have my 2 bobs worth about this night grand final?
Hang on, sorry.
Go on.
Are they going to bring that bit of grass back?
What do you think? There's a hole at the MCG or a square at the MCG?
I just don't understand the point to say that. Okay, then that becomes part of the ground that played the grand final. I don't know.
Could I just have my 2 bobs worth about the night grand final? The only thing that was better with regard to the night grand final was the halftime entertainment. That was the only thing, because with the blackness, the lights and whatever else, it covered up a huge void. Our ground is huge and they can never get it right in the daytime with regard to entertainment. But this was very much like they have it in America at halftime.
So you liked the half-ground entertainment, did you?
The halftime entertainment at night was the only thing that was better than a day grand final. But they cannot, and what Tony said was very relevant, there's a tradition that you go to a breakfast and why change it? And the ratings would be no different at night than they would be in the day with regard to the grand final, because if you drive around, I've only done it once, nobody is around through the afternoon when the AFL grand final's on.
I might stand corrected here, but I think the ratings are only applicable from 6 o'clock. Prime time is considered maybe 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening to 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and the whole of your financial arrangements for the year are predicated on rating points. You should know this, or you should. And I think a rating.
You is who?
Rodney here. A rating point is worth millions of dollars in advertising, and I think the ratings are only calculated in prime time, which is from 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it absolutely. It helps the ratings. It helps you win the week. But in terms of the AFL Grand Final, it's still sold. It's pre-sold based on the numbers that they know they're going to get. That doesn't make a huge difference. That said, Channel 7 have already come out and said they want it again next year. They want it night grand final.
Of course, because it's a. I don't think that's quite right what you said.
What did I say that you didn't agree with?
Well, you said that the ratings are still great, but they don't.
I get what you're saying. No, they're not. They're calculated in terms of the week. Absolutely, it means that Channel 7 will win the week because it's in prime time. But in terms of the actual revenue, it doesn't matter where they get them. They'll still sell it for the same amount. Those spots. Those 30-second spots are still worth the same amount.
Exactly, whether a day or night. Yep. And talking about selling of spots, the betting agencies had a field day, didn't they?
I don't know, did they?
Well, advertising-wise. Why we bet on our football, and they're supposed to be moral custodians of our society, the AFL, or so they portray themselves. Why are they promoting betting?
Oh, well...
It's the new cigarettes.
We can't save... You can't save the world from itself by just having a rigid regime that stops you from enjoying what is legal in this society. You can't stop people eating fast food, fizzy drinks. You can't stop them smoking. You can't stop them drinking alcohol. You can't stop them gambling. You can't. What do you want to do? How much do you want to impose on people's civil liberties to live a life they want to live? Now, I know there's a fine line, but let's not just be so politically correct and sanctimonious that we tell people how to live their lives.